the title of this talk, Drop Your Sword and Pick Up Your Love, is something that I've actually been studying, because what happened was it just popped out of my mouth, and I didn't actually know what I was talking about at the time. I was in a spiritual, in a ritual, and that's what came out. So it's actually been a study for me as to what does that mean, because it didn't come from a place of, I wasn't thinking about it. It didn't come from anything that had to do with my intellect. It came from something inside me that I was trying to understand, and so it got captured in that phrase, drop your sword and pick up your love. So yesterday, I texted my son, who's 30 years old and a lovely young man, who's in Boulder, Colorado, and I said, dude, what am I going to talk about? So he wrote back and he said, well, everybody needs protection. He said, but the best protection comes from the heart. So that's pretty much all I have to say. That sort of takes care of it. I think we have, there's lots of talk these days. We are in a moment on earth when there's lots of talk about both those things, about protection and also about the heart. And those two things get juxtaposed. They get juxtaposed. How is it possible for me to, depending on who you're talking to, be in my heart, be centered in my heart, live through my heart, come from the heart, right? There's a lot, we sort of have it's a Hallmark greeting card array of talking about the heart. How can I do that and still be protected? And we all have our methods of protecting ourselves, protecting ourselves emotionally, protecting ourselves energetically, right? I assume everybody knows what I mean when I say that. This same son, whose name is Aaron, when he was 5 years old, you know when those who have kids, if you don't tell them that the way they're seeing things is wrong, they keep seeing that way, right? If you don't say things to them like, that's not how it is. Nobody's going to be your friend if you keep saying things like that. If you don't say those things, they actually retain the ability to see as they were born to see. So my son at 5 years old looks at me, he goes, oh, Dad, I see. We're eggs with legs. Eggs with legs. Right? So, and actually that was pretty much 25 years ago, was about when I started studying the egg, right? By which I mean what I call the human energy vehicle, which some people call the aura. So we learn how to protect that in various ways. This egg, this vehicle, right? As I say, this customized vehicle. Right? Everybody has the vehicle is generic, not that different from the generic car that comes off the line. But then it's customized, like yours is not exactly like yours, not exactly like yours. It is exactly, and it's not. Everything that we need to learn in this life is put into this mobile schoolroom. It's a mobile schoolroom that you're walking around in. The ones who learn the most are the ones who are good students, right? Who understand that that's what we're doing. I'm walking around in my egg with legs, my mobile schoolroom, interacting with the world and gaining experience from it. Basically, that's it. That's what we do. And we're given a time period to do that in. And when that time period is done, we go back to the review where we came from, and we have our basket that we put the things we're going to learn in this life, and that basket, and then our guides help us, and we tell them, okay, lesson 1, how'd you do? Oh, didn't pay attention to that one. Okay, that's okay. Lesson 2. Well, that one I paid attention to, but I didn't actually go very far with it. Lesson 3, check it out. In order to learn those lessons, in order for the schoolroom to be able to navigate, we have to learn how to navigate and how to protect it, protect this. For most of us, the way we do that is we learn how to pick up a sword and a shield. Depending on how early in our lives we needed to pick up the shield and the sword. That says how big of a sword and how hard we hang on to it. But everybody has one, especially in the culture that we live in. Right? So let me explain something. There are people in here who have studied with me for a while, so y'all can. Oh no, you don't have your cell phone, so you can't text now. So you have. Sorry. Yeah? We live in what in my language is a third chakra culture. In other words, right? Right? Basic lesson. We have 7 energy centers in our bodies. This is not metaphorical. I'm not talking. What I'm saying here is not metaphorical. Right? This is what I see. This is what, and many eons of different ways of describing what I'm saying. I'm just using particular language that comes from this culture. It's how I see it. I've done everything I can in my life to rid myself of ideology and the need to describe things in a particular way. So I do the best I can to just describe what I see. What I see is this. We have 7 energy centers. Each one of those centers is connected to particular qualities that we embody, that we need for the vehicle to navigate. So this one where my hands are right now, called the first chakra, has to do with connecting to the earth. Literally, it is a vibrational pillar that is meant to go into the earth and draw sustenance, energetic sustenance from the earth. Right? One of the consequences of that being disconnected is physical illness. Many people in the, quote, civilized world, the first world, the second world, are suffering from illness because they literally never touch the earth. Right? What is the third chakra about? We live in the quintessential expression of the third chakra that has ever been on earth. This is the moment that we're living in. The quintessential expression, because the third chakra is connected to manifestation. Are we not the culture, the civilization of manifestation? We have manifested much of the world in our image. We have developed a relationship with the earth. Now, I'm not talking about people here, of course. But as a people, we have developed a relationship to the earth where we are invaders. And it's ours to be taken. It's ours to decide. And if you study with me, what I teach people is watch people's hands. So here's what I'm doing. We do this. We make decisions from here. We decide what we're going to do, and we go and do it, by gum. That's what we do. That's who we are. We're Americans. We're Europeans. We decide to do it, and we do it. And we're good at it. We've come to the end of what we can do from that level. Doesn't mean we can't. We're going to keep spinning our wheels. Right? We have the entire political discourse at this moment is between competing third chakra ideas. But the third chakra, when it's let run riot, ends up in fights all the time. Because the quality of the third chakra, the positive quality, is discernment and distinction. The third chakra is along with manifestation, is about what is what. What is what? This is a this, and this is a that. This is a me, this is a you. Huh? This is me, this is the world. That's useful. But when there's a ceiling on that, we end up with the troubles that we have in this world. because it's looping back on itself. And what has been the impulse to manifestation is now turning into what? Endless war, civil discourse that has no civility. And that distinction quality has become divergence. In the body, in our life, there is a natural progression through the chakras. It's supposed to happen. And so there is an internal impulse that pulls us upwards. When we're born, we are little first chakra beings. What are we doing? Right? We're eating, we're shitting, we're sleeping, we're crying, we're entering the family, we are literally coming into our bodies. Right? I don't know, this is possible if you decide to do this sometime. You can go back in your memory, you can go back in your consciousness, and you can remember the first moment you came into your body, when you entered your egg. You can remember. I remembered one day, was when my body was being born, and I came in. Right? You can remember that. The first stage for all of us is just getting used to it. Right? Watching babies go like, what the heck is that thing? Going like this. Right? What are they doing? Like, wow, I can make it do that. Isn't that amazing, right? So that period of time lasts however long it lasts. Then we get into what gets called the twos, right? What's the two about? Twos are about I want, I will. Some people never get out of that, right? And for those who have kids, you know that 2 and 12 are basically exactly the same, except that they can run at 12 and they can talk back more. It's the same thing. This is what I want, because it's the second chakra time. It's a time of expression. It's a time of life force coming and starting to go for what you want. Then we enter the period of the third chakra, which lasts however long it lasts, the time of manifestation, the time of entering the world, the time of, well, what are you going to do in this world? How are you going to do it? What's going to be your mark? What's going to be your work? What's going to be your impact? How are you going to live on this earth? There's a practical level. You have to feed yourself. But also, what's that going to be? Then we get to a place where naturally, that's not so important anymore. We've reached the point where we are being called naturally, as in our individual lives, we're being called as a people and as a world to the heart. That's what all of this craziness is about from my point of view, right? And I would never say I don't understand all of what's going on, but from my point of view, that's what I look at. I see me in my life, feel me having been called to my heart, and resisting it. Because why? Because I wouldn't put down my sword. I wouldn't put down my sword. Because the third chakra is the place of the sword and the shield. The best defense is what? A good offense. Right? We've all watched football. The best defense is a good offense. Get them before they get you. Okay? Smartest guy in the room. We all live in this milieu, right? We all live in this milieu, and people who are successful on that level in this country are honored. We honor the ones who are the manifestors who made it, right? He made it. She made it. Yeah, literally made it, created it. It's very positive. The difficulty that we run into is when the moment comes where organically we are being called to another level, and we won't drop the sword. Because why? Because I know how to use a sword. I don't know how to be in my heart. And I have all kinds of images about what that means, right? This space from here to here, right? So I'm going to ask everybody to do this. Put one hand right here on your, right, like your thumb touching your, what they call your sternal notch, so that your palm is right here. And then put the other hand right in your chest, right in the middle of your chest, your heart chakra. Now look down. What's the distance? Is it about 4 inches, 3-4 inches, right? Like that. 3-4 inches, 5 inches, right there. However much it is, right? That is the longest 4 inches in the universe. The longest 4 inches in the universe, because it's just so damn hard to traverse it. Lots of the illness that we face, lots of the difficulties, lots of our lives falling apart, what we call the midlife crisis, is the natural progression of the energetic movement within your egg, within your human energy vehicle, to call you to your heart, to live from a different place. This is a natural progression. It's a ladder. We just climb the ladder. First chakra, second chakra, third chakra. We get to the top, we get here, but then we come and there's this platform, and we bump it. And we bump it, and we bump it. And the more that we resist it, the more there's a backup of energy, and we get sick, and our lives fall apart, or we go through some crisis. But if we only focus on fixing the crisis, fixing the illness, fixing the problem, we are, as they say in AA, pulling the hair off the dog that bit you. Going back to the solution, to asking the problem to fix itself, rather than finding a new perspective, a new paradigm to come back to the problem with. Does that make sense what I'm saying? So, in that moment, when I made that prayer, all I said was, I want to live through my heart. That's what I want. I didn't even know what that meant. And I had no idea what I was in for. Because, right? But it was sincere. I meant it. It was for real. I'd never been so sincere about anything in my life. And I was not actually a very sincere person. But in that moment, I was sincere. I want to live through my heart. I choose to live through my heart. Help me live through my heart. You all, whoever you are, who's ever listening, please, I hope somebody's listening. They were. And what proceeded to happen was my life proceeded to change in reference to that, right? Because entering my heart as I did, like literally, when I say enter your heart, right? Let's try it. As best as you know right now. Close your eyes if you don't mind. You don't have to, right? You're free. Whatever that means to you, enter your heart. See? Now, from this place, remember, it's not an intellectual thing, remember the prayer you made that brought you to this point in your life. What did you choose? When was it? What was your prayer? If everything that has transpired was to bring you the answer to that prayer, all the positive things and all the difficult things, if everything that has transpired was to bring you to the answer to that prayer, what would that prayer have been? What was that prayer? Now see if there's another, what we would call in our work, a refinement of that prayer, a refinement. Right? Because in some ways, your life has answered your prayer. I'm giving you a hypothesis. Huh? You don't have to accept it. My life has shown this. What has evolved in my life, what has happened in my life, has been to bring me to the answer to my prayer. So since that day, everything that has happened has conspired and transpired to bring me to live through my heart. So if that were true, if you accepting for this moment, this hypothesis, that a prayer that you made, maybe it was unconscious, probably it was, some years ago, help me what? Help me be free. Help me live through my heart. Help me know myself. Help me be successful. Help me manifest. Help me know love. What? If that were true, how's it going? How's the answer to your prayer going? Now let me ask you to do one more thing. Thank you for your very beautiful people. I appreciate this very much. Where in your body is the laboratory of that prayer? Where has that prayer been working out in your body? If that question makes any sense to you, put your hand on that place. See some people holding their head, working their heart. That place where you are touching or you're feeling, you don't choose to demonstrate, is the chakra, is the energy center that has been the laboratory, your place in this life where you are working out the major part of what you came to work out. When I spoke about the basket, you put a bunch of slips of paper connected to that place in your body in that basket. Because this is our mobile schoolroom. This is our laboratory. This is what we got. All of that we manifest outside us can supplement that, can make this vehicle more or less comfortable, more or less fancy, more or less pretty. But what we got is this. This is what we're given. Right? So you're working through this body, this magnificent creation, right? This conscious egg. You're working it through. One day, I was in Brazil. So this was my mid-30s. When I was in the late 30s, I was 39, I think, 39, maybe 40. I'm sitting in a room, 250 people. I'm sitting on a log on the ground, and it was in the middle of what they call a church there, which is basically a giant open cement floor room. We were meditating. And I was what I call bitching to God. Because I was with many people who were very visionary and very advanced, I thought, very illuminated people. And I wanted to be like them. I had no idea what I was talking about, but I figured, because I thought they were cool, so I wanted to be like that, right? So I'm there, I'm meditating, I'm like, I want to see like everybody else, I want to see like everybody, I want to see visions, I want to see things, and what happens is, I feel like a syringe, like a syringe on the plunger on a syringe goes right on my head, goes like this, and pushes my awareness down to the middle of my chest, which was a very difficult thing to do because I was like cemented in my head, you know. I want this, I want this, I want this, I want this, I want this. Boom, comes down, and a voice says to me, totally clear, when you live here, you'll see everything. And at that moment, I had the experience of an expansion in my heart, an expansion in my chest, a place that felt so wonderful. It just felt... I hope that was important. So,
It sounded something like that, right?
It just felt what? I felt peace. Literally the first time in 40 years on this earth, I felt peace. And peace not as peace in the absence of something, in the presence of something, the presence of something positive, the presence of something expansive. And for a moment, just was a moment, everything was fine. I was fine. Everything was fine. I was sitting on a log, totally uncomfortable, with 250 people freezing to death in the middle of a Brazilian night, the mountains. Who cared? It was just... And then, you know, they can only hold us in that place so long, and I pop back my head. Wow, that was cool. I wonder what that was about. God, I'm so cool. I didn't have that experience. Yeah. And at that moment, then, though, when I reflected, I made a prayer. I made a prayer. And for me, a prayer doesn't have a particular form. A prayer is one of the built-in things in the egg. Like meditation is built into the egg. Right? Like laughter is built into the egg. Like crying is built into the egg. Like pleasure is built into the egg. Right? Like anger is built into the egg. All these things are built in. Right? Prayer is built in. Prayer is not, say it this way, direct it to this being. That works. That's fine. Right? Billions of people saying something millions of times has effect. But that's not prayer, necessarily. Prayer is a communication from the heart, from this mechanism, this incredible built-in communication mechanisms of the heart. Built in. Opening that communication channel to who? What? Whatever. Whatever. Whatever it is that is in you and beyond you. Whatever it is that's in you and beyond you. It doesn't matter what name you give it. Recently I was with a man, a very, very beautiful, illuminated man. His name is Reb Zalman Schachter. He's an 87-year-old master, Jewish, a rabbi. He was in Boulder. And he said, you know, she comes wearing different clothes. He said, don't get hung up on the clothes. Isn't that beautiful? She comes wearing different clothes. Don't get hung up on the clothes. Don't get hung up if her eyes are like this, her eyes are like this, or if she's black, or she's, Asian, or she's cares. When she arrives, breathe. So, in that moment, when I made that prayer, all I said was, I want to live through my heart. That's what I want. I didn't even know what that meant. And I had no idea what I was in for. Because, right? But it was sincere. I meant it. It was for real. I'd never been so sincere about anything in my life. And I was not actually a very sincere person. But in that moment I was sincere. I want to live through my heart. I choose to live through my heart. Help me live through my heart. You all. whoever you are, who's ever listening, please, I hope somebody's listening. They were. And what proceeded to happen was my life proceeded to change. In reference to that, when we commit to the space of compassion, all the stuff comes up behind it. You see what I mean? Because the space of compassion is a space of neutrality. Right? Now, I'm not trying to fix anything. I'm just holding a vibration which is a universal vibration. Compassion is not something that's just in you or you or you. Everybody has it. It's all the same thing. We named it compassion. We called it that because it feels like what you're saying, and what happens is what you're saying. Compassion allows healing to happen. But in service of that, it brings up the stuff from the lower self because compassion is like a magnet for lower self material. But in the space of compassion, when we hold the space of compassion, particularly when we do it together, it's the space of transformation. Because it's neutral, because what I said before, because I'm not pulling the hair off the dog that bit me. I'm not going to fix something. So what you're just going through now, if we were together for a while, I wouldn't be like, let's try this and let's try this. No, let's hold the space of compassion. Let's make it stronger. Let's link all together so that this stuff can come up and just be worked. It's a different way of healing. It's not a therapeutic way. It's an energetic way. Compassion holds a space for transformation. And compassion holds a space within which everybody can choose what they want. So the fact that you hold your enemy doesn't mean the enemy's going to change necessarily. What's going to change is your relationship to that person. And if it's your inner enemy, because we all have everything in us, it's going to transform your life. Imagine if all the things, the criticisms that you have of yourself, the things that you have said, oh, that's not good about me, and that, and I'm too this, or I'm not that enough, or I'm this, whatever. We all have those, right? Because we live in a culture that teaches us that there's an ideal, and you ain't it. Nobody is, right? But we're supposed to embody it anyway. So we all have these. I mean, some people have it about beauty, and some people have it about how smart you are, and some people have it about how rich you are, and some people have it about you, blah, 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 blah. Right? But imagine if that's just held in the space of compassion. Just held. What happened for you is what starts happening. It comes up, it just comes up to be transformed. And then we learn how to hold that space together. When I say hold it, I mean like we're doing. Just be in that space together. And that's why we come together in a group to teach each other and to hold the space, because it's exponentially stronger. Right? A group of 20 people holding a space of compassion for each other is exponentially many more times than 20. The point is, these forces are actual and real. We've given them names. We've given them names: compassion, faith, grace, peace, harmony, truth. Right? Truth. Truth is a force. Truth is a force. Not truth as in I'm right and you're wrong. Truth as in like this. It's true. Because we feel it. So the experience of the divine forces is what my work is about, is what has, and I don't use this word loosely, has saved me. Again, that's not a religious, it's used religiously in a religious sense, but no, saved. Saved as in, right? What I say to people sometimes, if I can say this honestly and truthfully, that I love my life, I love being on earth. I think it's just the most interesting weird gift that anybody ever received, to be in a body. I think it's totally weird. I think it's totally funny. It's totally awesome. Totally ridiculous. All of that. If I can say that and mean it, there's hope for you.